3 things you can do to close the generational gap at your organization. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Future in 5. My name is Jacob Morgan. This is where I share my thoughts, ideas, and commentary on the future of work in 5 minutes or less. Today I want to talk to you about how to close the often discussed generational gap at your organization. But before we get into that, I want to thank this week's sponsor for the Future in 5 video series, which is Prism. Prism is Prysm, and they are an organization that helps design visual workspaces. I talk a lot about the employee experience and how the future of work is all about the employee experience, and the technology and the physical space is a big part of that. Well, that's the area that Prism plays in. They design these beautiful visual workspaces using big screens or small screens. So imagine being able to go up to a wall and manipulate information and control information and communicate and collaborate. It really looks like something that's out of the future. So if you want to check it out and see what it's about, visit prism.com. I would appreciate it, as would they, because they help make these videos possible. So check them out, prism.com, and get a glimpse of what the future of communication and collaboration might look like. So back to this week's topic, which is all around closing the generational gap within our organizations. And basically, this idea of the generational gap is, we have some people that are 22, we have some people that are 62. There's this big gap. They work different ways, they want different things. How do we close that gap? A couple of things we have to remember. The first is that this isn't the first time in the history of the business world that we have had multiple generations in the workplace. We had this in the 60s, we had this in the 80s, the 90s. This is a pervasive, ongoing thing. So that's the first thing to keep in mind, is this isn't new. We've all had to work with multiple generations in the past. So having said that, let's acknowledge a couple things. First is, sure, there are maybe some differences between younger generations and older generations. But most of the studies that actually come out on this topic find that there are far more similarities than there are differences. So the first piece of advice that I would have is, don't segment. Don't look at your organization and say, okay, the young people here, old people here, young people work like this, old people work like this. Once you start segmenting and isolating and grouping people into buckets, you're already going to create a form of tension. You're already going to create a form of conflict by separating people. So don't think of it as a generational thing. Think about it as an attitude, a behavior, and as a value thing. So that's the first thing to keep in mind. The second thing that I think a lot of organizations can do is reverse mentoring programs. And this is fantastic. Organizations like IBM have done an awesome job with this. So if you indeed perceive some sort of differences between generations or work styles, do reverse mentoring programs. Take somebody that, for example, maybe is 52 and is an excellent project manager and is an excellent communicator and is excellent at building teams, but maybe isn't so forward-thinking when it comes to technology, and pair them up with somebody that's 22 that is really good at technology and all that social stuff, but isn't a great communicator, or doesn't know how to project manage, or doesn't really know how to deal with an office environment that well. Just a hypothetical example. It doesn't mean that older people are bad with technology. It doesn't mean that younger people are better with technology. But pair those types of people up together. And it doesn't have to be an age thing. It could be a skills thing. Somebody that's not good at technology, somebody that is good with technology, pair them up together, let them show, teach, etc. You get the idea. The third thing to keep in mind, and the third piece of advice that I would have for organizations, is design multiple ways of working. There's been a lot of debate around this when we talked about open floor plans versus closed floor plans. And the key here is you're not thinking about one type of floor plan or one type of way of working. You have to design multiple ways of working. Good example, again, when we look at the office space. It's not just about having an open floor plan or just having cubicles. It's about having multiple ways of working, which means that if you prefer to work in a cubicle or some sort of isolated space, that's great. If you prefer to work in a cafe-like environment, hey, that's great too. If you prefer to work in an open floor plan, hey, guess what? We have that as well. So instead of trying to focus on one type of way of working that everybody needs to do, enable multiple ways of working. And this is the big direction. This is a big part of the employee experience that I spend a lot of time talking about, doing videos about, writing about, etc. Multiple ways of working, multiple devices, multiple work hours, multiple work preferences, multiple ways to get stuff done. That's how we live, and that is how we should also work. So I think if organizations do those three things, they're going to have a far easier time of managing this type of a generational gap between people that are younger or older, or people that are good at certain skills versus people that aren't. So again, the three things to do are: number one, don't bucket and segment people and create that tension within your organization. Number two is you focus on creating these reverse mentoring programs, pairing people up so they can teach and educate each other. And number three, design multiple ways of working, multiple modes of working, instead of focusing on one way of working, which is how our organizations are used to working, used to getting stuff done. So I think those three things will yield some great results. Curious to hear what you think. Leave me a comment below. If you want to get access to more articles, videos, podcasts, etc., you can visit thefutureorganization.com. Or if you have your phone handy, you can open your phone, text the word future to the number 44222. Again, that's 44222. Text the word future, and you'll automatically be added to the newsletter where you're going to get access to all the latest podcasts and all the other fun stuff that I'm involved with around the future of work. What else? That's it. If you want to connect with me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is @JacobM. And if you are interested in sponsoring an episode of The Future in 5, send me an email. Let's chat. Jacob@thefutureorganization.com. I'll see you next time on an episode of The Future in 5. And don't forget to visit prism.com, please, and check out the cool stuff that they are doing. I'll see you next time. Hey, are you interested in the future of work? If so, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get all the latest content on the future of work and stay up to date on all the latest trends and happenings. Not to mention, you will make me very, very happy. Make sure to subscribe.